Won't it be Ryan the Great? And today we are talking NBA free agency, guys. So we're going to be doing a full recap of NBA free agency. Now, the separate videos that I made earlier, like in the summer, which were like about Paul George, Klay Thompson, I think DeMar DeRozan, and I don't know if did we make a DeJounte Murray video? I don't really know. But, anyway, the biggest moves we will not be talking about because we made them in our own separate video. So if you guys want to go hear about those moves, make sure you guys go check out those videos. So we should be talking about the moves that I never talked about in the video. Now, I probably talked about some of these moves on podcasts. So if you guys want to go see Cole's reaction, you guys can do that as well. But let's get right into this video. But before we get right into this, guys, make sure you guys subscribe to the post notifications on. Go subscribe to my brother, Lily Vlogs. Make sure you guys go subscribe to my second channel at Ryan the Cog Great. Make sure you guys go follow me on X RTG. Make sure you guys go follow me on TikTok at Ryan the RTG. Make sure you guys go listen to the latest edition of the CR7 podcast. And make sure you guys go follow me on Twitter at Ryan the Great Podcast. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's start the video and let's roll that intro. Hey, come on, Stotty. Stop! Red flag! First pitch! Bring him in! Yes! Oh, damn. Alright, so let's get right in the video. So I actually did end up making a video on DeJounte Murray. Still won't be talking about that in this video. But what we will start off with is, I'm just going to give a disclaimer. Anything before July 1st we'll not be talking about. So OG Anunoby, Malik Monk, those re-signings, we won't be talking about those. But I will say one thing about OG Anunoby. I don't know how the Knicks did that. I don't know how they afforded that. I'm not sure what they're doing. They're paying so many guys, and some of them are going to be on the bench. Is Julius Randle going to be on the bench? Is OG Anunoby going to come off the bench? You're going to pay a guy $50 million to come off the bench? It's a little ridiculous in my opinion. But anyway, let's get into the video. So starting off, the first move we saw on July 1st was the Dallas Mavericks signing former Dallas Mavericks forward Derrick Jones Jr. signing with the Los Angeles Clippers. That's a 3-year, $30 million contract. Now, I think this is good for the Los Angeles Clippers because they obviously need another forward to replace Paul George. This was obviously before Paul George left the Los Angeles Clippers. So they're trying to build up on some forward depth here. And I think Derrick Jones wore out his welcome with the Dallas Mavericks, especially in the NBA Finals, when he did not perform up to standards. I don't think the fans would have liked to see him come back. But for the Los Angeles Clippers, I think this is a very good move for them. You obviously lost Paul George. You're getting a guy who is not that bad. I mean, only 8 points per game last season, but they shoot 48% from the field. So if you're looking at all that right there, you're saying, okay, maybe this is actually a pretty good deal, and maybe we could not replace Paul George with him, but get some good depth to, help us out there. And they also signed other forwards that, we'll talk about later in this video. Now, getting into the Philadelphia 76ers, they signed guard Kelly Oubre Jr. on a 2-year, $16.3 million contract to stay with the team. This also includes a player option on the 2025-2026 season. So, I mean, this is a very good deal for the Philadelphia 76ers and for Kelly Oubre himself. If he says, think he can get a better deal somewhere else, possibly next year, maybe he can opt out and, try to renegotiate with the Philadelphia 76ers to get an even bigger contract. Or, if he thinks that maybe he should just stay with the Sixers and stay on this current deal, and maybe he can get even more money in the previous year after that, then, he comes back for that next season. For the Philadelphia 76ers, I mean, with your own very tight window to try and win a championship, you need all hands on deck. So getting Kelly Oubre Jr., the deal that he wants, and a deal that I think is pretty fair, $8 million per year with a player option. I mean, if the player option wasn't included, then he probably would have got more money. But with the player option, I think this is a very fair deal. Kelly Oubre Jr. was a big piece in the Philadelphia 76ers last season. While didn't miss a few games, and the games that he was not in there, the Philadelphia 76ers did not perform for what they were. We saw them as last year. I mean, he averaged 15 points per game. He could drive to the rim. He could shoot. He played pretty well defensively. I mean, he averaged 1.8 steals per game. So he did pretty much everything on the court for the Philadelphia 76ers, and I'm really glad that he's gotten a contract and that he is continuing with the team. Now, we talked about Paul George. Tyrese Maxey signing a 5-year, $204 million contract extension. I mean, this was pretty obvious. Tyrese Maxey obviously deserves this contract extension. He was the second option for the Sixers last season, and then when Embiid was out, he was the first option. and I thought he played decent in that role. But as the second option for the Sixers, I think he'll continue to be the second option, even with Paul George in the lineup. And there's no denying that he deserves this deal. He is a great first step. He can get to the rim. He can shoot from anywhere on the court. His defense, I believe, improved under Nick Nurse. There's no way you can't tell me he didn't deserve this contract. Now, the Thunder, they agreed to long-term extensions with Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins. I'm also reading this off the ESPN's tracker, which I always do. Joe, he signed a 4-year, $48 million contract extension, while Wiggins signed a 5-year, $47 million contract extension. And the Thunder declined small team options on Joe and Wiggins. Now, in my opinion, I think this is very good because the Thunder are not paying that many guys, so you might as well try and use the salary cap room that you do have just to lock down your key role players on extensions. Now, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, very key role players for the Thunder last season. You could see that they really helped shift momentum in a couple of games. So, especially, I think against the New Orleans Pelicans, a guy like Isaiah Joe came in there, and I felt like the team just flowed a lot better. Same thing with a guy like Aaron Wiggins. I mean, Isaiah Joe, someone who didn't really have a role on the Philadelphia 76ers when he did play there, gets to the Oklahoma City Thunder, really makes a name for himself, and gets a pretty big extension where he's going to be getting $12 million per year. I mean, Kelly Oubre is only getting $8 million per year, so this guy really proved himself there. And once again, the Thunder didn't really use much of, didn't really have any... not really paying too many guys. Chet Holmgren's on a rookie deal. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is obviously on a decent contract. So, I mean, you really don't, or you're really not paying that much. So, there's really no reason why you can't use some salary cap space and, lock down some of your key role players. Next, free agent center Jalen Smith has agreed to a 3-year, $27 million contract with the Chicago Bulls. Now, I mean, Jalen Smith, not a bad player. He's pretty good shooting from the 42% from 3. But the Chicago Bulls, they're obviously going to be tanking. They'll probably be one of the worst teams in the NBA next year. They're probably going to try and get in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. They obviously have Vucevic still, so Jalen Smith probably won't be starting. They're going to look to trade Zach LaVine sometime soon, saying they get a package for him. So, I mean, it is what it is. Not really a big deal, but, we move on. Isaiah Hartenstein has agreed to a 3-year, $87 million contract with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, someone like Isaiah Hartenstein really made a difference last season in the series against the Philadelphia 76ers. He was a great rebounder. He got a lot of offensive rebounds, a lot of second-chance opportunities. He has a very good hook shot. He can score at the rim. He can play defense well. There really isn't nothing that Isaiah Hartenstein can't do inside the paint. And you're thinking of a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, who really, they lost last year to the, who'd they lose to? The, not the Denver Nuggets, the Dallas Mavericks. They didn't really have that rebounder, you know what I mean? So getting a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein in there really is going to help them with their rebounding. Now, would you say this is an overpay? You could say that, but for what he's probably going to be worth when the Oklahoma City Thunder get into the season, I really wouldn't say it's an overpay. Next, Tobias Harris signs a 2-year, $52 million contract with the Detroit Pistons. I mean, it is what it is. I was very happy to see Tobias Harris go. Great person, great locker room leader. It's just he could not produce on the court for the money that he was getting paid. Even he's getting overpaid here with the Detroit Pistons. What is this, a 52 divided by 2? That's, like $20-something million per season. I mean, something around there. I mean, how can you justify Tobias Harris getting, almost $30 million per season? You can't do it, in my opinion. So, even though the Pistons aren't paying anyone, they just paid Cade Cunningham. Tobias Harris will most likely be the second option on this team. He'll bring some veteran leadership to a very young locker room. But, I mean, if the Pistons, well, I guess the Pistons aren't really thinking about being a contender, but if you really see him in your future plans, I can't see you, wanting to pay him $20 million per season for it. I just can't see it. Anyway, Eubanks agrees to a 2-year, $10 million deal with the Utah Jazz. I mean, I actually like Eubanks. I think he's actually a very good player. He played for what? He played for Phoenix last year. Played in 75 games. I mean, he was a pretty good rebounder. He shot 60% from the field last year. The Jazz obviously aren't going to be contenders, but I think he's a very good player. Oh, shoot, accidentally clicked on the wrong thing here. Timberwolves signed Luke Garza to a 2-year deal. I mean, that's nothing there. For DeLon Wright, Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks do need some point guard depth. They obviously lost Patrick Beverley in the offseason. Need someone to back up Damian Lillard. I don't assume DeLon Wright will be playing that much. I mean, how many games did he play in last year? He played in 14 with the Miami Heat. I mean, you could just use any depth in my opinion. But anyway, getting into this, Derek White has agreed on a 4-year, $125.9 million contract with the Boston Celtics. Obviously, you expected this deal to get done. I was thinking the Celtics may have gotten this deal done next year, just so they could save some salary cap room. But, I mean, with the Celtics having their 5 superstars, not superstars, but star players, Tatum, Brown are in $300 million contracts. You have Holiday on a pretty big deal. Porzingis is on a half-decently large contract. And now you have Derek White, who's going to be getting paid around, around $25 million per season. I mean, you're going to have to unload in a couple seasons. So the Boston Celtics, they're going to have to win at least 1 or 2 more championships with this core if you really, really, really want to call it a success. I mean, obviously winning a championship is always a success in any team's core, for a couple of seasons. But honestly, with this team that the Celtics have, they really should be winning multiple championships. But with the salary that they're paying most of their guys, they need to at least win 1 or 2 more championships to really see it as a success. Anyway, we talk about Klay Thompson. Free agent forward Nicholas Batum has agreed on a 2-year, $9.6 million contract to return to the Los Angeles Clippers. Obviously, Nicholas Batum got traded from the Clippers in the James Harden sweepstakes, and then he returns to the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, he played very well for the Philadelphia 76ers. In that playing game against the Miami Heat, he hit 6 threes. I was at that game. Me and Cole were at that game. So, I mean, he hit, he's proven that he can still play. He played for France in the Olympics, and he played decent. Obviously wasn't the star from the team, but I thought he played decently well. He still can shoot the 3 ball. It's not like he's going to be the all-star, the superstar of the Los Angeles Clippers, but I do like that the Los Angeles Clippers are using their salary cap room to get depth back, not just trying to go after all the superstars. They're realizing that depth is kind of what works in the NBA now. You need a deep bench to go far. So I like this move. I like that it's on a 2-year contract. Nicholas Batum probably doesn't have much time left, and a pretty cheap deal, in my opinion. Free agent guard DeAnthony Melton has agreed on a 1-year, $12.8 million contract with the Golden State Warriors. Listen, I really wanted him to come back to the Philadelphia 76ers, but $12.8 million for a guard who, has some injury history, and the Sixers are trying to compete right now. They used a lot of their salary cap room. I mean, it's just, it just really probably wouldn't work out. But for the Golden State Warriors, I mean, you lost Klay Thompson, so you need another 3-point shooter back. And Klay Thompson's defensive production has decreased in the last couple of seasons. And you're really getting that in DeAnthony Melton, a good 3-point shooter and a good perimeter defender, all for $12.8 million. I mean, there's nothing really wrong for this signing with the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, they didn't trade for Lauri Markkanen, which probably would have been the ideal thing, but they didn't want to trade Podziemski, which I don't disagree with. But, I mean, DeAnthony Melton, last year, in only 38 games with the Sixers, he shot 36% from 3, 38% from the field, but he's still not a bad player. If he can get on the floor and get considerable minutes, then I really think he can make some noise with the Golden State Warriors and help them win. The largest contract in NBA history, now Jason Tatum, 5-year, $314 million contract extension that includes a player option and trade kicker. Once again, do I think Tatum deserves to be the highest paid player in NBA history? No, but Jaylen Brown also didn't either. The Celtics had to do this after winning an NBA championship. Jason Tatum was on that team. He was one of the key pieces to winning a championship. So, kind of were forced to give him this extension. It is what it is. I like it as a Sixers fan because eventually they're going to have to unload with this first, second apron and all that. They don't have that much depth. They did sign most of their guys back, but really they only have like 7 guys that can really produce. In today's NBA, you really need like 8 or 9. Not saying the Celtics probably are not the favorites to win the championship again, but I'm just saying these contracts are going to add up eventually. Next, this guy actually got a good deal for himself. I saw this guy play when he played the Sixers. This Goja Bidaz, I think you pronounce his name, a 3-year, $25 million contract with the Orlando Magic. Honestly, he played for when I saw him play against Joel Embiid, he didn't have such a great game, but I thought he was actually a decent player. I think he actually deserves his contract. I actually am proud of this guy right here. Gary Harris has agreed on a 2-year, $14 million contract to stay with the Orlando Magic. Now, I like this for the Orlando Magic. They're getting 3-point shooting around Paolo Banchero, and he's going to be someone to come off the bench, so you're getting some bench depth in there. You're only paying him $7 million per season for a very decent role player. I mean, I actually really like this signing for the Orlando Magic. You get him for a couple of years. You keep the window open for a longer time. I think it's a very good move. Mo Bamba has agreed on a 1-year deal to stay with the Los Angeles Clippers. He didn't really play much with the Philadelphia 76ers, but with the Los Angeles Clippers, he could get a little bit more minutes. Obviously, they have Zubac. I think they still have Mason Plumlee. But he could probably get a little bit more minutes in there because, those guys aren't always the healthiest in the world. So maybe he can get some minutes when those guys sit out. So maybe. I don't know. And that was all just from July 1st. We're getting into everything else here. Donovan Mitchell has agreed to a 3-year, $150.3 million contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers. This deal includes a player option for the 2027-2028 season. And gives Mitchell a chance to satisfy the NBA's 10-year service criteria, which will allow him to pursue a 5-year extension in 2027 that could be worth more than $380 million. Now, I wouldn't let this contract fool you because Donovan Mitchell in the Cleveland Cavaliers ceiling is really, really getting lower. The Sixers got better. The Celtics are the same. The Bucks are coming back healthier. And I'm obviously forgetting a team here. The Knicks are coming back better than ever. So in my opinion, I don't see a way. And even Orlando's getting better, who they beat last year. Indiana, I just forgot about them. So I don't see a way that the Cleveland Cavaliers can compete for an NBA championship. What guys have been doing is that they sign their contracts, and then to get around the CBA and the salary stuff, they just sign their contracts and demand a trade next season. If the Cleveland Cavaliers don't get to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think this is Donovan Mitchell's last season. Everybody was like, oh, he's not going anywhere. He's staying with Cleveland. Don't let this fool you. Guys do this all the time. Damian Lillard signed his contract extension, and now he's on the Milwaukee Bucks, and that was with the Portland Trailblazers. I wouldn't let this fool you. I don't think Donovan Mitchell's sticking around. I think he's going to demand a trade next offseason. And I think once the season ends next year and we see how bad the Cleveland Cavaliers probably do, which in my opinion is going to be a first-round exit, then they could possibly even be a play-in team. That's a little much, but I think they'll probably be a 5th or 6th seed. And they'll probably end up losing first round. And they'll probably have to end up facing the Knicks or the Sixers, and they're not beating them. So I don't see a way where Donovan Mitchell sticks around. Anyway, free agent center James Wiseman has agreed on a 2-year contract with the Indiana Pacers. I mean, you lost Jalen Smith. James Wiseman was a former number 2 overall pick. He's a decent defender. He played a lot last year, or on his standards, he played a lot with the Detroit Pistons, 63 games. So you need a backup center, and this isn't the worst backup center in the world, but he's somebody that can get the job done in minutes that he probably is going to play. What do you call it? Mo Wagner has agreed on a 2-year, $22 million contract with the Orlando Magic. I mean, the Orlando Magic doing a really good job here. Signing these guys, signing these younger guys, signing them the good contract extensions, 2-year extensions. You want to try and build up your team. I mean, Wagner was 8th in the NBA in field goal percentage last season. He shot 60% from the field. Still only 27 years old. For a center, 33% from 3. I mean, that's not terrible. Played in 80 games last year, so he's very durable. You're going to get your money's worth. So I think this is a very good deal with Wagner here. And then Xavier Tillman and the Boston Celtics have agreed on a 2-year contract. I thought when the Celtics traded for Tillman last year at the trade deadline, this was going to be a very, very good move. But at the end of the day, honestly, I mean, he didn't play much in the playoffs, so he could play in the regular season, but in the playoffs, this isn't really going to mean much, which is what the Boston Celtics are really only looking at. I doubt they care about the regular season anymore. Orlando Magic and Jonathan Isaac have agreed on a 5-year, $84 million contract. I think this is pretty good for the Orlando Magic. You're getting a lot out of this deal. Normally when guys sign $84 million contracts, it's only for about 3 years, but you're getting 5 years out of Jonathan Isaac. Now, Jonathan Isaac didn't have much leverage in this situation. I think this was more the fact that the fans wanted him to get this contract extension because he's a fan favorite in Orlando, but he only averaged 6 points per game last year, and getting $84 million, not really the best contract, but for the Orlando Magic, getting 5 years out of him, he's still only 27 years old. I mean, you definitely can get some production out of him. Free agent Kyle Anderson is planning to sign a 3-year, $27 million contract with the Golden State Warriors. This is actually going to be in the sign trade. This was all with the Klay Thompson. A lot of this stuff is connected. But Kyle Anderson, I mean, shot 46% from 3. He was a very, very big anchor for the Minnesota Timberwolves last season. Obviously, there were some locker room problems with Rudy Gobert, but he played in 79 games last year. I mean, not the best three-point shooter, only shot 22% from 3, something that the Warriors need. But if you're looking for a mid-range shooter, I don't think Andrew Wiggins is what he once was. I thought the Warriors should have traded him this offseason. I think they were going to do that in the Paul George sweeps if they would have traded for Paul George. But, I mean, if you need a mid-range shooter, which is something that I believe they need, because I don't think Andrew Wiggins is that guy anymore, I think Kyle Anderson is the right way to go. And LeBron James signed a 2-year, $104 million contract to stay with the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, obviously, he restructured that contract and got them just under the second apron, and everybody was acting like he was the savior of the universe for doing that, just getting the Lakers under the second apron, still handicapping them, making sure they can't make any moves to try and get better. So, I mean, not really much there. Damian Lee is returning to the Phoenix Suns on a 1-year contract. I mean, he tore his meniscus in the right knee. He missed all the season, but he's coming back this year. You're gonna need a 3-point. You're gonna need three-point shooting around Kevin Durant, Booker, and Bradley Beal, especially when they're off the floor. And I think Lee is the right way to go there. Shot 44% in the 2022-2023 season for the Phoenix Suns, so he obviously knows. The way the team goes. Obviously, the team's going to look a little bit different this year because of the fact that Mike Budenholzer is going to be the head coach. But I think he will fall into the game plan just because he was able to produce 2 seasons ago. Now, moving on, Joe Ingles has agreed on a 1-year contract to stay with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Or to join the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, Joe Ingles has been bouncing around teams more than old Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, he's been on every team you could think of. So, it is what it is. He probably won't play that much, but he used to play with Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley, so probably just to bring some veteran leadership to those guys, though I don't think Mike Conley needs veteran leadership. You get my point. Alec Burks has agreed on a 1-year contract with the Miami Heat. I mean, the Heat who... Tyler Hero, who's always in trade rumors. They don't really have that really good point guard. You get Trey Burks, who averaged 10 points per game last year, was one of the best players on the Detroit Pistons. When he got to the New York Knicks, he didn't really have much of a role because that team was obviously so deep. But he goes to the Miami Heat where he's going to have an increased role. And if he can, produce, get some points, maybe average around 14, 13 points per game, he can definitely get a big contract extension from some other team. So for Alec Burks, I think this is a very good deal. And for the Miami Heat, it's kind of a low-risk, high-reward for them because the Miami Heat's window is, I think, pretty much closed to winning a championship. But this is low-risk, high-reward in my opinion. PJ Dozier's agreed on a contract with the Timberwolves. Now, this is a deal I actually wanted to talk about right here. Buddy Hield is joining the Golden State Warriors on a sign-and trade that are guaranteed for 2 years, $21 million. Hield gets $18 million in the first 2 years and a $3 million partially guaranteed in the third year, plus a player option on a non-guaranteed fourth year. And the Warriors sent the Philadelphia 76ers a 2031 second-round pick. That was from the Dallas Mavericks. Now, obviously, that 2031 second-round pick is probably going to mean jack squat. But for the Golden State Warriors, this is a very, very good deal. Same thing with D'Anthony Melton. You lost shooting and perimeter defense in Klay Thompson. Obviously, once again, that perimeter defense has gone down. But Buddy Hield, one of the best three-point shooters we've seen in the last few years. I think he's made more three-pointers than Stephen Curry since 2020. Shot 43% from the field last year. He shot 38% from three. And Klay Thompson shot 41% from three. You add that on with D'Anthony Melton, and you get two really good shooters here that can replace Klay Thompson. Obviously, you're never going to get the production that Klay Thompson ever gave you with these two guys, but you're getting something back that could definitely really help you out if you are the Golden State Warriors to maybe make a playoff push. We talked about DeMar DeRozan. And then Orlando Magic forward Franz Wagner has agreed on a 5-year, $224 maximum rookie contract extension. I think this is an overpay, but then again, not really. The Orlando Magic aren't really paying that many guys, so in my opinion, this is fine. He averaged 19 points per game last year, but for $200 million to see him get paid more than Tyrese Maxey, I can't see that. I just don't. I don't agree with it. He wasn't that big of he didn't make the impact that someone like Maxey did had for the Sixers. I don't agree with it, but I'm glad he got his money. He's definitely a very good player. Malik Beasley's signed a 1-year deal with the Detroit Pistons. You're going to the Pistons, you're asking for a death sentence. The Philadelphia 76ers are waiving Paul Reed, who had a non-guaranteed contract for next season. I'm sad to see Paul Reed go. But, the Sixers needed rebounding in the playoffs, which is something that he did not provide. He didn't do his job for the entire season. Obviously, I think he wanted to be in Philly. But, it is what it is. Free agent forward Caleb Martin has agreed on a 4-year deal with the Philadelphia 76ers worth more than $32 million. You're only paying him $8 million per year over 4 years. That is a steal, in my opinion. Caleb Martin, somebody who can really turn it on in the playoffs. If you go back to the time when the Miami Heat were making their finals push a few years ago, there were times where he had 30, and you wouldn't even notice it because it was just because no one knew his name. But now he's going to the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Sixers are someone who might have some injury problems, and he's going to be a guy that's going to have to step up at games at times. Now, something that I am concerned about here is that when people, these role players leave Miami, they don't do as well. Look at Gabe Vincent. He left Miami for the Lakers, and he's playing he's getting hurt, and he's not playing well. So that's something I am concerned about. But for someone like Caleb Martin, who can really turn it on when needed, I don't think that should be a problem. San Antonio Spurs are trading Devontae Graham, second-round pick, the Charlotte Hornets. Well, the Hornets are waiving Graham, so it doesn't even matter. So that's nothing there. That's just a clear cap room for the Spurs. Miles Bridges has signed a 3-year, $75 million contract with the Charlotte Hornets. After all his legal issues, he is lucky to even still be in the NBA. Obviously, the Charlotte Hornets not really going to be going anywhere, but they do view him as probably the second or third option on their team right now when LaMelo Ball is in the lineup. So, it is what it is. But he's very lucky to still be in the NBA and to get a $25 million contract extension, so he should be counting his prayers right now. Dario Saric has agreed on a 2-year, $10.6 million contract with the player option to go to the Denver Nuggets. Now, this for the Denver Nuggets, I think, is very, very, very key. Dario Saric is a very good backup power forward. The Nuggets, after losing Jeff Green after the finals, they didn't really have that good of forward depth. Now you're getting someone like Dario Saric who can rebound, who can score in the post, who plays pretty good defense, something that Jeff Green all provided for your team. You're just replacing that in Dario Saric. So I think that the Nuggets really got a good deal here with him. Sacramento Kings, we saw that with DeMar DeRozan. Daniel Theis has agreed on a 1-year deal with the New Orleans Pelicans. You need some backup stuff there. You need a backup center. Theis, who was pretty good, in playing games, played 60 games last year. Didn't really have that much of a role with the Los Angeles Clippers. So I think he'll have more of a role here with the Pelicans. Haywood Smith has agreed on a 2-year, $11 million contract to return to the Miami Heat. Highsmith, sorry. So he's staying with the Heat. Not really much there. Once again, the Heat's window's closing. They need as much depth as possible, obviously after losing Caleb Martin. So it is what it is. Cade Cunningham has agreed on a 5-year, $224 million maximum rookie extension that could be worth as much as $269 million contract. $269 million, sorry. So, I mean, Cade Cunningham, Detroit Pistons, you know, they're not going anywhere, but to keep Cade locked in, you know, for your rebuild that you're trying to do here, you're probably going to try and get involved in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. You maybe can get him, pair him up with Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren. You maybe can have a playoff team in about 2 to 3 years, depending on, you know, how much your luck is. But then again, the Pistons' luck in the draft these past couple of years has been absolutely terrible. The Detroit Pistons have claimed center Paul Reed on waivers. I mean, he probably won't have that much of a role. Obviously, he's going to be playing behind Jalen Duren. So, yeah, not really much you can say there. I mean, Paul Reed, if he can just work on his damn rebounding, I mean, I think he'd be actually a half-decent player. Kyle Lowry is going to stay with the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, I think this is very good. He's going to be a veteran leader for someone like Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey. He obviously wanted to stay with the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, he played very, very well last year. He started in 20 games. He shot 40% from three. You know, you always could use three-point shooters around Joel Embiid. So I think this is a very good move for the Philadelphia 76ers, and I love that Kyle Lowry stay because I'm a Kyle Lowry fan. He went to Villanova. You know, obviously beat us in the 2019 playoffs, and you know, he's been a rival for a couple of years. But, I mean, you know, I love it. I love the move. Let's see. The Knicks have agreed to a contract with Jalen Brunson, 4 years, $156.6 million. Now he's taking like a $130 million pay cut. The fact that he's doing this is just absolutely crazy. I mean, he's giving the Knicks so much flexibility over the next couple of years. It's actually nuts. And the Knicks should be kissing his feet right now. If teams want to win, and I point out to guys like LeBron James, if you really are that interested in winning, you're gonna have to take these pay cuts. Look at what Tom Brady has done. Look at what Patrick Mahomes has done. I mean, these guys have taken pay cuts before, and they have won championships. If you want to win as a superstar, take these pay cuts because they really help out in the long run to make your team better. Free agent forward KJ Martin has agreed on a 2-year, $16 million contract to man with the Philadelphia 76ers. How he got $8 million per year is crazy. Daryl Morey must have been drunk when he gave out this contract. I mean, he barely played last year for the Sixers after getting traded from the Clippers. When they put this deal on the table, his agent must have been all over this. You know, his agent probably got a raise at the agency that he works at. I mean, there is absolutely no way that KJ Martin deserved $8 million, but I won't judge. Taj Gibson, 1-year deal with the Charlotte Hornets, veteran leadership, not really much you can say there. New York Knicks and free agent guard Cameron Payne have agreed on a 1-year deal for the veteran minimum. I mean, Cam Payne had a role with the Sixers. I don't think he probably would have gotten much this year because obviously they would have played Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, and Jared McCain over him. He's probably not going to be playing that much for the Knicks either because they have Brunson, DiVincenzo, Josh Hart. If you want to consider Anunoby a guard, you can do that. So, yeah, he's probably not going to get that much playing time. Free agent guard Seth Curry has agreed on a 1-year deal with the Charlotte Hornets. Not really much there. Patrick Beverley is going to the Israel Basketball Premier League. He's getting like the biggest contract in like that league history, but it's only worth like $2 million here. So I don't really know. Excuse me. The Nuggets are getting Russell Westbrook in a trade. Or I'm sorry, they're getting him off waivers after the Utah Jazz signed and traded him. We'll talk about that in just a second here, actually, because I overdid myself. There's the Clippers. They sent him to the Jazz in a second-round pick for cash considerations, and the Jazz cut him immediately after. He's been cut twice by the Utah Jazz, so they must have a great friendship over there. Memphis Grizzlies have traded forward Zaire Williams, a 2021 top 10 draft pick to the Brooklyn Nets. Not really much going to be happening there. I mean, Grizzlies just, I guess, trying to unload some guys that they really don't think they need. And guys they also don't think are going to be playing because they're going to try and make a push here this year with Ja Morant. They're going to try and make a playoff push, see what they can do, see where they're at as a team. Cleveland Cavaliers, Evan Mobley have agreed to a 5-year, $224 million maximum rookie contract extension. I mean, if Evan Mobley can just get better offensively, and I know he averaged 15 points per game and was 11th in field goal percentage, that being 58% from the field. If he can just get better when it comes to offensive production, I think he could be worth even more money. If he averaged 20 points per game, he could get so much more money. But for some reason, he just misses a lot of like mid-range jumpers, something that you really need as a big man in today's NBA. He misses like easy layups at times. Like if he could just get better at putting the ball in the net, I mean, he could just be a really great player. What do you want to call it? Spencer Dinwiddie has agreed on a 1-year deal with the Dallas Mavericks. Now, I think this is very, very good for the Dallas Mavericks because obviously when Spencer Dinwiddie was playing there, he was really good with the system. He played under Jason Kidd. He was playing very, very well. I think he was comfortable in Dallas. You know, he was really free to do what he wanted. He could play on the perimeter. He was making a lot of perimeter shots. If he can replicate that success when guys like Kyrie Irving are out of the game, then the Dallas Mavericks are going to be one of the best teams in the NBA. Veteran Reggie Jackson has agreed on a contract buyout with the Charlotte Hornets and plans to sign with the Philadelphia 76ers. So I like this for the Sixers. I think that he's probably going to be on the bench. I don't think he's going to play. I mean, once again, you have Lowry, you have Gordon, you have McCain. He could possibly be a shooting guard if you want to say that Eric Gordon is a small forward. If you want to move him to really as a small forward, you could maybe play as a shooting guard, but Reggie Jackson is more of a plays at the 1. I don't know. I guess Jared McCain would play at the 2, and then you could have him split reps with Lowry. I mean, it's depending on if you really think he can play or not. But I mean, this is any depth in my opinion is good. You could definitely maybe use him in the playoffs. He's obviously a veteran. But anyway, moving on. Andrew Nembhard has agreed on a 3-year, $59 million contract extension with the Indiana Pacers. Now, I'm a big Nembhard fan. He is really good from 3. He obviously made that one-game winning shot against the Knicks last year. I am a big Andrew Nembhard fan. Only averaging 9 points per game last year, but he's playing behind Tyrese Halliburton. If he could be, a starting point guard on a team, I think he can average around 15 points per game. That's how high I am on Andrew Nembhard. I think he's a very good player. I think he's a very good role player, very good facilitator. I think he's one of the best backup point guards in the NBA currently, right now. I'm a big Andrew Nembhard fan. So I'm glad he got this contract. Orlando Robinson, 1-year deal with the Kings. James Johnson, 1-year deal with the Pacers, $3.3 million. Russell Westbrook signed with the Denver Nuggets now. They obviously lost Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and I don't even know when that deal happened. I must have missed that deal, but anyway, he signed with the Orlando Magic. That's a good deal for him. Very good deal for the Orlando Magic. Once again, get more shooting, very good shooting around Paolo Banchero and guys like that. But you're trying to replace Reggie Jackson and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope with Russell Westbrook. Now, Russell Westbrook is in no means a shooter. There was obviously the meme Russell Westbrook a couple of years ago. I'm not sure really where he fits on this team because you have so many guys that drive to the paint. You have Jokic who plays in the paint, who can also play in the perimeter too, but you get my point. You have Aaron Gordon who drives to the rim. You have Michael Porter Jr. that primarily drives to the rim. And those are all bigs. I feel like the spacing is not going to be good if you have like Russell Westbrook, Michael Porter Jr., and Aaron Gordon all out there at the same time. Now, I wouldn't believe that happens, but if you kind of have those weird lineups with that, the spacing is not going to be good, even if you just played Russell Westbrook and Aaron Gordon. Now, maybe Russell Westbrook can throw some alley-oops to Aaron Gordon, but Russell Westbrook likes to drive to the rim, and I feel like that spacing is just not going to be that good. I'm not a big fan. I like this move in some ways, but I mean, there are many ways for this to go wrong. Tyus Jones has agreed on a 1-year, $3.3 million contract with the Phoenix Suns. Now, Tyus Jones was the best backup point guard in the NBA when he played for the Memphis Grizzlies. Obviously, he went to the Washington Wizards, and nobody ever cared about him. But people are going to know his name this year with the Phoenix Suns. He's going to be a great facilitator for this team. Now, obviously, this team is going to be very small because you're going to have Devin Booker at the 2, probably Bradley Beal at the 3, and Kevin Durant at the 4, while you have Tyus Jones at the 1. I think he's going to be very good. I think he's going to create the spacing that this Phoenix Suns did not have in most games. When the Phoenix Suns had spacing, they were unbeatable, in my opinion. I don't remember which game it was, but I was watching some nationally televised game for the Phoenix Suns, and they just had such great spacing that they just could not miss. I think Cy Jones is going to create that on this team, and I definitely think he's going to be a very key piece for this Phoenix Suns team, possibly making the finals push. Devontae Graham goes to Portland Trail Blazers, not much there. Knicks re-signing Precious Achiuwa, 1 year, $6 million contract. I mean, you need any big man you can get at this point. Luke Kennard, 1 year deal with the Memphis Grizzlies. Once again, just trying to see where they're at. Jared Allen, a 3 year, $91 million contract extension. I like that there because I don't know how much the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to be contending in these next couple of seasons. So we'll have to see that there. Laurie Markkanen signed a 5 year, $238 million contract extension. Now, I think this is just to get leverage over teams for when they probably trade him next offseason. So they can get more assets to see, he's under a contract extension. So he's going to be under 4 years. So he's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon, saying you trade for him. So you give us more assets. Patty Mills, 1 year deal with the Utah Jazz. I mean, that's not really much there. Now, this was the last move we're going to be talking about, and the last move that's really happened. The Philadelphia 76ers agreed on a 1 year, $2.1 million contract with, now I can't really pronounce his name that well, Guerschon Yabusele. Now, I commentated on Yabusele's game with France against the United States in the gold medal game, and I was like, damn, this guy's dunking on LeBron James. He's making perimeter shots. He's driving to the rim. He can get rebounds. He can do everything. And the fact that he can go into now the NBA and play for the Sixers, a team that's contending, and possibly get some minutes, I think this is a very good deal for him. I think he gets a chance to really prove himself and to possibly get a bigger deal going forward. And for the Philadelphia 76ers, I mean, low risk, high reward, in my opinion. You don't really have that much forward depth, but I mean, you really get it here. When it comes to Yabusele, I think that he is going to be a very good piece, especially if he can be a scorer off the bench. If he's going to be your primary scorer off the bench, I would love to see it. I would absolutely love to see it if he could succeed with the Sixers. But yeah, I mean, if you guys were hoping to see a little bit more analysis on these, I mean, we're already 40 minutes in. I didn't want to bore you guys with about an hour and a half video just completely breaking down how these guys are going to fit on the team, just kind of basically breaking it down, and some on like more on the bigger side. If we were on the bigger side, I kind of talked about how it was going to help those sort of teams. But yeah, I'll do it for this video, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe, the post notifications on. Go subscribe to my brother and their great vlogs. Make sure you guys subscribe to my second channel at Ryan the Cog Great. Make sure you guys go follow me on Extra Undergate RTG. Make sure you guys go follow me on TikTok at Undergate RTG. Make sure you guys go listen to the latest edition of the CR7 podcast. Make sure you guys go follow me on Twitter at Undergate Podcast. And as always, Ryan the Great out. Peace.